Hi, I'm Meenakshi Shedde. I'm here at the Berlin Film Festival with the fantastic, very deeply moving film Take Me Home. This is Liz Sargeant, the director. This is Apoorva Charan, the producer. It already had a great reception at the Sundance Film Festival when it won the Best Screenplay Award and the US Dramatic. And now it's seated in the Perspective section and the Berlin Film Festival's for first features. It was a very warm reception the film had yesterday. It's essentially about a woman who is about nearly 40, whose series here has a cognitive disability, is medically challenged, and is waking up to parents who are also challenged in their own ways with Alzheimer's and other stuff. So there's fragility on both sides. It's a very moving film. Liz, I'd like to ask you, what was the starting point of the film? It seemed very deeply personal. I think that's also made it poignant. But can you tell us some perspective?
I grew up, my adopted parents are white Midwestern. I had 4 biological kids, then adopted 7 more. 6 are Korean and several have different disabilities. The star of the film is my sister Anna. She's the youngest of our family. And this film just sort of developed on my own anxiety around the future heir for my siblings. She's may need assistance as they grow over to engineer in a career. So, idea of Gilbert has evolved from my loss from my sister Anna to the celebration for Apple.
That comes across very strongly. I think one of the things that was very moving about it is that we rarely give them a chance to actually do things. You kind of they're always recipients, but rarely allowed a chance to read us back. We don't create structure and community work back. I remember that very much because during COVID here, my mom had some mistake now, and I started to take in Sunday skill lessons from her. So where she would also teach, she had something really bad. And not always be getting food or medicines or whatever. And this is something I think you dealt with a lot of them as well, in terms of the compassion and kindness and absolute loyalty and non-judgmental nature by which they look after other people themselves. Is that something that was very conscious, or that just came from your natural experience?
I think you start thinking about what we offer other people in these a strict perspectives like money or food or I don't know, certain services. But there's so many other ways to get back to the people that you love, and for me, is a caregiver in many ways, and I only learned that through the making of this film and possibly the other sequel about all the things that it's did for me, and it was an incredible experience making this film and delivering this deeper around her that she also ended up loving her just as much as I do, and seeing me so what she can offer, which is not just like love and sort of like good generic kindness, but I think she's a very supportive person. Yeah, and she's witty, and she really look out for people on the face.
That is lovely. Yeah, tell us a little more about Wing Mom with it.
We just say that Anna was RE on set. Like, she brought so much joy. She really united the crew. To have somebody like her, she was so magnetic. Well, I think it shows on the screen, but every day we were so happy to be there and see her perform.
That's fantastic. But also, I think last night in the Q&A, they said, equally getting knows the resource to producer, you can. Something about, was it a disability, not an officer, but somebody responsible, like a supervisor person? And this is something fairly new. There was still about that.
So I think an accessibility coordinator is somebody who now I think has become a sort of prominent. And then being an accessibility producer really went above and beyond, and we had conversations with her in pre-production as to how we make a set accessible for Anna. And I think Liz can speak more to how to make sets category accessible and how to make the filmmaking process accessible, as that played is the structured APOB in the entire filmmaking process. So we had an accessibility producer and an acting coach on set to kind of make it Anna's support.
Wow. You want to share a little more about this aspect? And because I think also earlier there was a STEM on depth test was a CODA, which was also at Sundance, etc. And they had I think in some fields of disability there are audiences who are more tuned into the filmmaking aspect of being inclusive. But this is probably relatively new in terms of this and disability. So how much of it was spontaneous from what Anna was already, because I think was she very much a part of writing the screenplay? I don't mean writing, but from drawing from her experience and your experience of her, and how much of improvisation happened? You're always
our accessibility to Misa was incredible. She also really led a lot of the castings at the third act, which included more people with serious disabilities, and I think we always went into this thinking how can we sort of make a dispersed situation for her assistant, right? And Anna was in like, 70% of the film was just MST set. And so it was like, how can we just like have the patience around like how much time to have for her to score the character and the scene, and what kind of resting support does she need? But also, how can we, well, sure, no, I'm not DC soft little pencil and give her the experience to be a professional. And she really rose to that wayside.
I would add and say, like, in terms of the filmmaking process, there were certain scenes that Liz and Anna and Tara, the acting coach, recurse so that it would more go into Anna's long-term memory. And those, I think, Amy then allowed Anna to play and brings herself to those scenes because she rehearsed them and she kind of, and then in terms of the writing process, example, an example, I want to say the scene that was rehearsed the most was the water bottle scene, which he asks her, No, actually, that scene was actually very spontaneous. And I think Liz came up with that scene on the drive over with the Hill producer. And you were like, here's the new scene. So that was a scene that I think that was like true structure and where they came up with the decisions as well.
In the come to a scene there, here is people servicing her and the dad starts being like,
Everyone in the audience in both screenings, there's like really audible gasps and you can feel the tension and everyone's so worried for Anna, which is great. So that scene was actually truly improvised because I think Liz and our producer came up with that on the way on the drive over. But you would have put us forward that there's a scene where she's asking her parents for her water bottle after they turn the TV off. I think that was a scene that was reversed.
Would you say something to say about moving something into new brand new?
So, Anna had very little short-term memory, so she can't really remember lines. What I think is a beauty of her is because she's so present and she's not gonna just copy you. She's always original and ways she'll use her performance. And so like in the scenes, we would have the script to start from that place when he was sort of the contour with the lines. She get her keep them, they wouldn't sound very good. And then he fully pull away and she's figure out. And then there's sometimes these points where in her long-term memory, with all of that put together, she would really remember and instinctively know the beats of the slaves. And then that happened, it just sort of rolled together, and it was just such a really beautiful performance.
Lovely. You would ask about the script writing classes and outlets. So one of the scenes, actually the scene where Anna is watching softcore. But everyone just kind of, Liz, I think she went home to Orlando because our parents were ill and I used to take her Anna during that time. And this was a moment that happened and we were having like our weekly teen Zoom and Liz shared what happened. She was like, you're not going to believe this. And we were like, you have to put this in the script. Like, this is a gig. And that, I think, came out of something that she had experienced and that we reacted to being like, this is a great story.
Also, I think a lot of personal things happening shooting in your Rose home, right?
So, yeah. I just want to say about that scene, what I found so funny was the embarrassment sense self, and I think the scene, the beauty is that, like, it's normal and saying, and it's growing building, she should be watching this. Like, she's curious. But it's that I was so surprised the sister and her father handled the realization that
I was wondering, so this is a scene where the elder sister played that whose character is called Emily in the film, forms in on Anna and discovers she's watching Sonia in the room, and she's like almost 40, so it's a big little okay by that. But I also wonder, because in all your early interviews and stuff, clearly somebody you adore, who love, and you really wonder what you see, what she's capable of doing as well. And I wonder why too, because I got the feeling that some of these elements are for the character of Emily, and also feeling maybe possibly Sargeant, probably not everyone can really give up their careers and lives for caregiving. It was a bit established very those tilted goals that didn't play so it. Would you say there's some of because the film is very specifically also very comedy listed, while this very specific, and how do you cope with solution where multiple disabilities or challenges are in the same family, and you are of course things are very, and did you feel any guilt as well personally, something that your feelings that in the character family?
You going over to the wrist now?
Well,
all of the film, with most of the film,
when slice of life felt overwhelming emotion. The situations, the dialogue that's written, some comes some language and word components that I have it as we filmed it in my parents' home. And so there's a short program sort of space. For me, writing gives me perspective on the situation of the behavior unfold to like so shape it and wonder what these conversations might be. So that we're brave to have them. And part of making this film sort of have a likeness and a joy to it. One is like Anna's, wit and humor is undeniable. You can't take that away. And I just wanted her to just fully dimensional person. And she lives a good light, She lives a challenging life, but she is like a great person. And I think we fall in love with her and it'll work more for her. We're talking about sort of got the ending as well.
As well, so yeah. Was that something that it completely came on your own, or did it come to discussion with the teams, the ending?
No, I think even the initial drafts that I had read, there was this ending in place. And I think it came from a place of, and I'm just really quoting Liz and the many interviews, these conversations, I would refer to just, we at least have to start from a place of imagining what's Pooski, right? And if you imagine it, then at least we have something to bear towards. Yeah, so it's where it came from.
Because, of course, there's this challenge because there's fragility, as we said, on both sides, from her side as well as her parents. And this has a very marvelous ending, which is very, very optimistic, where Anna's quite empowered, and there's a fairly joyous space of people with many, many visibilities, or rather challenges, I would say. And there is an organization that you mentioned that's also back to the film that already millions with this. Anywhere place. This
Cross generation. Yeah. Carrier across. The place that we create and that was then was a very everybody's.
Yeah, and just to build off of what Apoorva was saying too, but I think we know what this ending could be and is, at least in America and in most places in the world. And I don't think that's what we need to see or the narrative we need to see. We need to see what we can make and what's possible. And it is an optimistic ending, but I think that is it's attainable. I think we can make this place if we put our energies into it. And part of what we're doing with this film is just stating conversations about how we can build that world, what it offers everybody, not just people with disabilities or legal or aging, and with carrying across generations who's been into projects very early on. We're planning communities creating as this place outside this education equity in a bipartisan way, because we all will need caregiver likewise we all will be a caregiver, and so wirely makes the resources available to the most important implementing.
Are you aware earlier films which also do use impact, which is aiming to purpose that have any effect other than this released? Are you giving me any other films you share?
Yeah, I want to say that there are a lot of films that lean into their impact strategy making. Roma, known as Familiar Touch. I think these are all films that have pretty strong impact. Yeah, where you're bringing in the community, there's political onto it, that's conversations,
Yeah, and this NGO was already embedded from the start, also in terms.
Yeah, they actually were, I think, one of the first things, the first executive producer in today is me and several of our teams. Liz met them at Sundance in 2024. So they bid with the Lydia story and Aijan Nabu, they basically strong champions of the film when was this prologues.
Lovely. Tell us a little about this is your second feature, and your first was Joyland by Science Savik, that was Pan, and then was the Oscar on the shortlist, which is a huge thing and completely set in Pakistan, this was fairly new for you as well, and this is completely a different ballgame set in America. I'm guessing there were kinds of union rules and all kind of very different set. Tell us a little about this, Charlie. This makes as an American baker's tastes. These two films are so different, right?
And I think it's an interesting time. Yeah. I mean, there's personal learning. There's learnings that you collectively have as a film team. And then there's just professional producerial growth. Take Me Home. I think that this filmmaking process was the most unique thing, right? Honestly, after taking home, all of the other films seem so easy because I know what to do. Whereas I think for us every day was just showing up and being what's going to happen today? Let's find out. To be fair, with Joyland, we actually did follow, because Simon and I were trained to make films in the US. We did taste students of America galleries. Yeah, that's it. So we did take a lot of how American productions are structured, 12-hour days, 12-hour turnaround time. We did take a lot of those strategies in because we understood the value of, I think, having a well-rested crew, a deal not cast.
But did it work there?
Is it? You did. I joked about this.
He's been shocked to know they can actually go home and sleep.
Yes, actually, our challenge there was our crew was used to doing double shane, so we were like, you can't go shoot another movie. You have to go home. Yes, and I think the challenge actually, I think right now is with where the film industry is in America. It's like inflation, like all of those things. I'm like, we're always trying to cut as much on screen as possible. Those were kind of maybe like the structural challenges. I think we got really lucky with a lot of our crew.
What did you mean in terms of scale? You mean because this is so intimate? This is so intimate, right? It's the opposite of the brand spectacular. Okay, this is very personal.
This was very, very personal. Yeah, the house is beautiful and gorgeous. It has so much of the Sargeant family history in it, but it was small spaces, right? So then that like changes the framing, and it really was like showing up to set and discovering what the scene would be and being like, what can we today? And I think the weather was a big challenge for us. I think lightning strikes, having to reset, having to stop shooting. So actually, you all.
But you couldn't shoot during the lightning, so we had to like stop, and then it was like this thing where like every time the lightning struck, we set the timer and just sitting there in limbo. But we ended up using that time
To do other stuff instead of.
Yeah.
Well, the scale and how what you saying.
So I mean, sorry, just to speak to the lightning and the weather.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the scale was about like creating this new way of words that was sort of like around Anna's strings, which all bring boot workshop at the disability belt. And I think it was about having a play also have that flexibility around her. To me, this film was like a masterclass in cooking for everyone, And some people that was easy and some people that was hard. But that was the beauty of it. And I think the scale was about how we could just keep everything valuable. And that was the heart of the film. And so they knew that Anna having a strong performance was everything. So it's a strange scale because it is a tiny little film in some way, but the art of it to keep it natural, is totally different.
Yeah, and is to focus on Anna. Liz's word was pivot, my word was surrenders. And I think both words just need to discovery, right? Because you're kind of like, okay, let's just see what's gonna happen because we don't wanna try and control it. And I think to speak to the crew, I think the crew that, again, came with a sense of curiosity because we're all trained to make films a certain way. And I think if you came with a preconceived notion of like, this is my job and this is what I'm supposed to do, I think then it became challenges. And if you were just like, okay, how do I just serve the films? How do we support Anna's performance that things would flow and it would fix up a little bit easier?
Okay. How did you, whose choice was Farhada? She's marvelous work. Farhada Madaziz is marvelous. I mean, the intimacy that he brought, it's totally allowed us to enserish just Anna a lot and with the other characters. And I think it helps so much that you didn't have a huge cast. It is just to make key perks and we just stay with them. We allowed us to enter. So whose choice was Parachi? Both of you.
Together, it was collective.
What are you saying earlier that you lacked or you can take a pick?
I had worked with Farhad on a short film and Mason the introduction. And actually we met at Sundance many years ago as well. When I was I was there as an assistant during the farewell in 2019, that's when we first met. And he's very disciplined. I like to tease him that I think he really intellectualizes emotions. And so he shares now that we had to find a new language. We're both the carry essays, both Farhad and I. So we're like, oh, we feel this because of this. And then you just like rationalize that. And I think, maybe you'll do an interview with the two of them and he'll share that he's had to then find a new language kind of to drop in because I think Liz really operates like emotional and sick. But it was like I was happy to play a matchmaker, and I think again shooting in Orlando required a lot of resilience. So he brought that to goal.
I think could you tell us examples where I think you said earlier that you often let the camera roll and then actually cut and like specific scenes, but you let things roll and let them get into the scene and do maybe improvise a bit. Can you tell us one or two scenes which really work marvelously just because you that can divine and they then stay?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were two different approaches. Like earlier on, it was, using the scene as a very clear structure and having just to series. And having it just be very awkward long silences where I would just sort of wait for a timing or the moment to come. And I think Ali was incredible at that. And she really had to do like that gymnastics and emotional gymnastics. I think Anna's really only responds to things that are honest and real. So she had to give her all every single take, which was incredible to watch. But I'd also say that like I totally got into abuse like the entire crew. There were scenes where like probably like the things where we had lost a couple with Dad and Anna. So Dad and Anna are in the kitchen and he's just teaching her the books, and there's a couple signs of his like study dementia. And he just said, you know what, here are the beats you need to hit, and you're cooking, go for it. And it just sort of snapped in and Victor got it. We did that scene once. We had 2 cameras, but we did that scene once, and it was just beautiful and it's worked. And just instinctually, we knew that it was there, so we didn't need to go again. And we knew that we stayed captured that strictly.
I thought it was up. I used to run. The scene that comes to mind for me is the scene when Emily's using wipes to help Anna. Oh, he's so funny. Yeah. That scene, actually, I think we lived it for like 20 or 30 minutes. That wasn't that we spent a long time, but
That was, as I was saying, on the underarms and stuff. Basically, Anna really can't stand handling a bath, and Emily insists. And then she's wiping with these wet wipe things, and then saying, test like under the arm, check the underarms. If it's stinky or not, then you haven't had a bath and you need to take one. It's really funny exchange to do.
and I think it's that after, spoiler alert, that after a parental death, it just, Anna's not taking a shower after that because her mom is the one to play that role. So what we discovered was like, how do we, because we start enjoying the scene, and it's like, what was this scene about, and how should we add in the layer of Anna feeling like being reminded of another life, and what the being torn between the 2 choices, and also wanted to play with Anna's curiosity because we knew that the James scene was coming. We knew the softcore porn scene was coming, and it was like, well, there's a natural curiosity about like, what is life after, and what is her sister's like? And that was something that was discovered on set just through conversation.
How did Minos Buffas come on board, and how was it very difficult to the people for a clip like this? So it's, I don't know, in the day, is it seen as a specialty film? It's just a bit soft 300 or whatever. So you already know when you're viewing something like this that there's a very suspicion of it. So was it the getting TVs on board?
So Minos also predate. We shot the Schminik. He was on the phone on news.
Yes.
He was his partner and creative and life, and so they've been working together, I think, a long time, and he's had several collaboration gigs before this.
You and him? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Very nice.
And he shot the short film. So he came into the project with like a lot of knowledge.
And I think you mean the short Take Me Home. It was the concept for the PG.
Yeah, that the short film Take Me Home. Yes. And so I think he was a great guide because he, knew Luna's families, knew Anna, knew Liz. So that was very, very helpful. And then I think Liz cultivated a lot of relationships. She's been working on this whole for a long time. So there were relationships that she had from over the years that were deeply invested for Robert and this story and Anna. So they created, I think, the majority of our executive producing cohort, and that AT&T Untold Stories.
When we go, is this a new thing?
Nope, actually, I want to say it's in its 10th years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been around for a while. Lena Gold was another show that came to Yelker, but not doing. We pitched there in June. So that, I think, was a great catalyst to helping us propel it to production.
How long is this whole process pre-finally shot? This will be very quick.
Well, so I mean, it felt quick for me. Probably felt much longer for them because they've been living with this story. They did the short film, but I joined in December 2024. We were in development December, January, February. In February 2025, we started exposing the script, and we started, I think, preparing for it to touch. June, we locked our budget after we won Tribeca. And then the very next day, we're location scouting. We shot in August and September. We wrapped in September.
Who briefed me for? I think you were out of the shoot, and we met at a cafe. I came back also from the shoot.
Oh, teammates told me to go home. They told me I was with a part of friends, and we met at Park Street Diner, and I looked dead. Like, my friends were like, "We think you should go home because we have not seen you look like this ever." Like, there was no blood in my face. I was like, what's it?
Any other major?
The other thing I would add, I think we want to challenge the fact that this is a niche film, or that this is only for a specific audience, because as we're saying, like, definitely useless. Yeah, caregiving is for everybody. And I think one of the reasons, like when I first read the script, we had a caregiving story in my family. And I think a lot of immigrant families in South Asian specifically, like all of our grandparents are in India. We're all in America. The added layer of like caregiving challenges for that. And then also these are conversations we never had. Like I didn't even know the term sandwich caregiver. And now I'm like, oh, I think I see it as generation. Yeah. Sorry. It's also somebody who's caregiving for both an older person and the younger person. Yeah, like, so like I didn't know that my mom was a sandwich carrier. Like that she was taking care of me as a child and her in-laws, which I think a lot of Asian women live without this. And I think the labor, I think, for women that goes into caregiving, especially in society, right? And so it gave us language to be able to have these conversations that to me, I think was so valuable. So we're like, oh, you should talk about this. You can plan for this. It doesn't need to be like, we don't always need to be playing these. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would just say, I mean, definitely in America, I'm sure where the problem with that situation and with caregivers, it's that we think that it's our responsibility and we trace it on, and we can plan for it, but there should be resources. It is a struggle.
I just was to add from the little that I know, I believe with this huge amount of migration that happens worldwide now for various distress reasons or economy or floods or famine or whatever. So people line up in en masse in different countries, say, for example, Syria to England or wherever, right? So a lot of men now don't have the skills to work in the new economy. My understanding is that there are a lot of them who don't have skills to do whatever jobs that, for example, England needs. They're all really getting into caregiving because it's unskilled, but if you have that empathy, that's what comes. It's not, okay, you told it is not so whatever, but it's very being attentive with empathy. Essentially, that's the skill. And then you can be trained to give this medicine or this food or this whatever, whatever. Is that something that focus anywhere you're because it strikes me as the new economy in a way, which is different opportunities of it by someone is looking at to rehabilitate and reorient large migrant populations. You don't have as people the country the more and strike you as a new possibility.
That's a good question. I would say I would love to remember exactly thing for in past generations. There's other of national myth. I would say that caregiving does require a massive amount of empathy and individualized support, but it is a very skilled labor. And
it to learn into it. It's not
it should be
a training thing for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's a very, very challenging job that required immense attention on strict days. I think it's incredible that a lot of men are doing it work right now. Like there's the assumption that when you do this penetration, then there is an assumption, even like in this film, that like the sister will come back and solve the problem. So I think just that little bit hopefully will start changing the way that we talk about it and then it started to cause some things.
I think this is why you're ending very optimistic and joyous and showing competence and capability for also caregiving among each other from different people of different kinds of challenges. Gives us a lot of hope. So thank you very much for making this film, for giving us your time. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.